Yo, what's up legends, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to jump into my brand new release, my first solo release on rave culture, and this is The Age of Rave. Now this track is probably, I say this every single time, I admit that, but this is probably my favorite release, my favorite production to date. This one kind of encapsulates, and that's another great word for you to use, encapsulates exactly what I want Rave Room, the sound, the direction to be. It takes a little bit of techno, a little bit of big room, a little bit of hardstyle. It's really taking all the best bits from all different sounds and making something that sounds completely modern. I think this is such a modern sounding track, and every time I've played this, especially second drop, like the energy is crazy. It really hits really hard due to the really sharp punchy kick. But yeah, we're going to jump into this track today and I'm going to show you exactly how I made it. For the Patreon family, I have just dropped the brand new sample pack. The sample pack for this month is the Darren Styles, Ollie James and DD Forever sample pack, and there's midis in there. Of course, as always, some really sick sounds. If you're into your hard sci, I might have put the hard sci bassline in there for you. As always, I thank you all for the support. The Patreon family are my family. Absolute legends, all of you. I'm going to start releasing some exclusive bootlegs as well there. I've done a lot of bootlegs now that I'm DJing again. And I'm playing another show tomorrow actually. Played 2 shows this weekend. So I'm making a lot of exclusive remixes just to play in my sets. But why not give them to you guys, my biggest supporters? So stay tuned for some of those. Now, where do we begin? We begin with this. So that is drop number 1. My sound a lot recently, I've been really enjoying these fake drops. So when I played this for the first time, I jumped up on stage with the boys W&W. They invited me at Hellfire to jump on the stage to play this one. And everyone expects the drop to come here. But you notice there's no kick. And then when this simple, minimal drop comes in, people just went crazy. You heard the roars from the crowd. You know, it's one of those, didn't expect that. But it was done in a way that it wasn't too random, right? You could kind of anticipate something like that. So, we'll go into the synth a bit later. We're just going to focus on drops today. We're going to do the breakdowns and build-ups and stuff in a week or 2. But we have that synth, which just plays with no sidechain. Then we have a screech number 1. Which has a lovely tail on it and a real crispy sound design element. You know, everything in this track really was focused on sound design. All the sounds were specifically selected and made just to have that real crunchy, because it was very inspired by hardstyle, so I needed that kind of crunchy sound design. So let's start with the kick drum. Very simple kick drum. Good old Kashmir as always. We have an EQ on this, where I do this a lot. I like to boost that low kind of thump in the kick, which is around 100 Hertz. I think I'll have done a 5K boost as well. Yeah, around 5K for just that high like tick, so you can hear it without. With all it is just lifting it a little bit higher in the mix, giving it a little bit more of a nice clicky sound. This kick is really smooth, very clean. Drop 1 was all about the kind of softer drop anyway. We have the Roland Tech bass. So without any processing, it sounded like this. Now I can't remember where I got this, but I bounced it out. I believe it's a Psytrance sound that I might have duplicated. I don't know if it was a loop itself, but I think whenever I'm doing Roland basses, I like to use Psytrance basses because they have a lot of energy. All you have to do to a Psytrance bass is filter out the highs, and now you just get that lovely kind of grumble sound. So we have a British clean doing the usual stuff. We have a filter which takes out all that high end for me, and an EQ just boosting the lows and low mids kind of region, because it was carrying the sub bass, so I needed to boost the sub bass to get a little bit more fat. Top kick, did I use this one? Yes I did. And another top kick, I believe I did use this one as well, yeah. So this one has kind of thickness. This one has like a clean so together they sound really good. Now that is the main element of the drop, but if you did this the whole time, it would get incredibly boring. So this is the beast. This screech, you feel it in your soul. I absolutely love this screech. So it's a secret weapon actually. I was sent some screech sounds, which I'm using a lot in my sound. That's why I'm going to keep it to myself for now. But yeah, bounce this one out with a lot of reverb so I could control the pan more. As you can hear, if you've got headphones on, the reverb tail pans left and right and becomes more and more stereo. Sorry, it's kind of mono sounding. See how it kind of goes mono with the reverb, but it also, you feel that panning. So it pans until it becomes more mono, then the panning, obviously you can't pan with mono sounds, but in the beginning when it is stereo, you really hear the pan movement, and that's what I wanted here. I wanted to create movement because of how kind of empty this drop is. Then we come to the fill section. So that's where I have my claps fills. Also have this cashmere one as well. Now on the claps, I've got a little bit of a delay here. Some OTT. I like to use OTT on my drums because it really kind of gives them that extra power there. And we also have a vocal sample to the top with the reverse there. So all I did, you've seen this before, put it into Edison, reverse it, and then you just add reverb and you drag it straight in and it becomes this. To the top. Altogether, that's a really energetic fill. To the top. Then I decided to bring in some tech rumbles, which are just small percussion kind of sounds, which add more to the rhythm. Because this isn't the craziest rhythm, but when you bring in the tech rumble, you can really hear it starts to gallop a bit. Da -da 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 -da. So that's the main elements for this drop. Literally all I needed was those, what, 4 or 5 elements, and we've already got a club ready, festival ready drop. Now processing wise, there's not much crazy stuff going on there. I think I've gone through it all. We've got another screech there, which is screech number 3. I had basically 3 screeches. That's a little short one, and we have this one here. So that's why I get the hardstyle elements in the drop. Hardstyle influence, sorry. We have the fill, which is pretty simple. It's just the break chords, which we will go into next time. Pretty simple drum fills. I like to use a lot of different things, but it always has to have the right rhythm, right? My chords are da 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 da, so I need that da, 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 this kind of rhythm to match that, or it would just sound weird, right? It would just sound like dropped in out of nowhere. Then in the second part of the drop, we decide to take things up a notch. Now this is a big ass kick, but I didn't need the lows. All I wanted was that real high crispy bit crush sound, so I just added some decapitator to bring it out more, deep blue glitch to accentuate the crush, so I used the crusher setting on that. Then we have another glitch which adds a delay, which makes it a little bit more industrial sounding because it adds short delay. We have a crazy hardstyle looking EQ, get rid of all the low end but really boost the highs. And again, then a sidechain gets you this sound. See how it just sits perfectly on top? Everything has their own space here. So then we have this sound as well. Super old school sound, you know, with my sound I take a lot of inspiration from the old school stuff. Real old hard trance, early hardstyle and stuff. So I found that sound, it just fit perfectly with the overall theme of the song. We have some hi-hats. Pretty standard stuff, some rolling hats. Which obviously I didn't use, embarrassing once again. I did use this. Yeah, nice rolling. It just has a cool little vibe. This drop is about the rhythm, of course, as well, especially when I brought in those tech rumbles. You know, I want to bring more stuff in to bring out the rhythm even more. So that is all the drums. If I can turn off that synth and other screeches, it'll be easier for you to understand what I'm doing here. This sounds really, really dope. All I'm doing is just bringing this throughout the whole track to just give it that offbeat rhythm. It's a pretty cool sound. It doesn't sound the cleanest with the stretch from FL Studio, however, I've got lots of sounds on top which kind of mask how bad the sample stretches. And there's some of the sounds I just didn't use there. White noise is super important here. I love this white noise. White noise down. Bit of EQ, rolling off the lows and rolling off the high end a little bit because it's very, very piercing and very, very annoying to the ear. It can be. So I decided to kind of reduce the high end there. We have the vocals, which we will go into next time. They're original vocals. And I wrote the beautiful script, which is only like 10 seconds long. But still, I'm really evolving as a writer now. So that's drop one. I think this, I just love it. It's so simple, but it works. As long as you've got really high sound design. If you can't make it yourself, use samples, use presets. Good reverb is key here. You see the reverb tails make such a difference, especially with this sound. Where's my baby? It's this one. This screech just, if the reverb was wrong, it just wouldn't have the same feel. See how we just have so much depth and width in the production? That's what you should always be trying to aim for. Then we go to probably everybody's favorite drop in this track. I absolutely love this drop. This is classic Big Room, but mixed with kind of my new sound. Bit of a Rave as a Religion follow-up. This is the drop if you haven't heard it yet. So with this drop, the main focus is the leads, right? Everybody wants to know about the leads. Let's look at what it did. So that's the exact same melody from drop one. I go da 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 da, and then the kind of tech rumbly drop comes in. The good thing about this melody is I end it on the root note. So it allows me to go into a root note drop really smoothly. The transition is effortless. Same kind of melody that I used in Rave is Our Religion. Always ending on the root note. Super old school, just simple. Get a lot of inspiration from the early hardstyle stuff for that kind of melody. So our synths, we will go one by one and go through what they do. So the main sound is actually clean super saw. Which is a really, really nice sound. Really good sound. Just a one shot. I'm finding a lot of unique sounds in the one shot sample packs, because if you think about it now, all these presets have been used so much. These one shots are really untouched, so I'm delving right into the one shot elements. Then we have the pluck, the classic epic pluck. Then we have Nexus sound. So I'm not really using that preset for the character, for the main elements of the sound, like the way the sound sounds, if that makes sense. I'm using it for the characteristics, like that crunchy. I knew that sound would fit really well with the main sound. See how it's adding a little bit of like grit texture to it? I absolutely love when sounds have that. Then we have the layers galore layer. Really cool, actually. That's a super old school ravey sound as well. Altogether, they sound just gelled perfectly. So you really don't know that it's a sample, right? Because I've got the Nexus sound in there just to give it a little bit smoother movements, and the way I've used the sample as well, by shaping it, making sure that the notes play as long as Nexus would play, if that makes sense. And it's not duh, 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 and it's just sounding like ass. What did I do on the processing? Let's have a look at what I did. This is what the leads sounded like with nothing. So, I mean, it's not horrible. However, it's just not festival ready, right? So we're going to go through one by one and see exactly what I did. Now, it's probably going to be a lot of the stuff that you've already seen, as in Camel Crusher, of course, Blood Overdrive. Not as much Blood Overdrive distortion there as I would usually use. We've got an EQ number 1, getting rid of those lows early doors. We have the Isotope Trash using the tape saturation. Love a bit of tape saturation from Isotope Trash. Then we have an EQ lifting some of the high end. Again, just trying to bring out the frequencies I really wanted, boosting up the volume with a parametric EQ, and it really is a process of just adding until it's too much and I can't add any more. We have the FabFilter Satin lifting up those mids and highs. Transient Master makes the sound more clicky and shorter as well. As you can see, I brought the sustain down just to make it shorter and punchier. And a final EQ, which does pretty much the same thing I've been doing throughout the whole chain. I've done a lot of distortion, so I am just making sure that the low end is actually gone. Then we have the reverb. Don't steal the settings. So that is my classic reverb, really heavy on the reverb, but also has that clean feel to it as well. I don't think the reverb is linked to the controller for some reason. I thought it would be. Oh yes, I actually think I linked the wet knob to the controller this time, as opposed to the full wet dry on off signal. Then we have the Echo Boy. Now the Echo Boy is great. Ducked some of the high end off of the delay signal, but this just makes the sound wider and more full. So reverb and the Echo Boy there just make a lot of difference. Starting to sound festival ready. Then we stick the Bigifier on, which I've started to use again actually. It's quite good. It kind of messes up sounds and I like that. Especially after the reverb as well, you kind of get a distorted reverb feel. I felt like the highs were too high, so dipped the high end. I mean, there's a lot of EQs. I really should see a doctor about this. Again, just small detail. I could try and do it all on one EQ, but I decided to put 20 different ones on for whatever reason. Doing a beautiful little cut there around 788 hertz to be specific. Probably just because it was annoying frequency. I need to do that more often. Then we have Oxygen Inflator. I'm not boosting any of the input. I'm just going to use the effect knob. Transient Master again, because I wanted it even more punchy. That does a lot. Especially when you've got the reverb. When you put the Transient Master after the reverb, it makes it sound so clean altogether. The reverb gets tightened in, and it just, yeah, I love it. Sidechain, super loose. Yes, I'm using Kickstart 1 still. Quick chain, you just want it to sidechain really quickly because most of my notes are on the kick. Bum, 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 bum. So I needed a loose sidechain. Too heavy would just ruin the vibe and you just wouldn't hear the melody. So that is it in terms of the leads. We need more than just leads though, so let's look at the other elements. It's a different kick drum. If you're one of my Patreons, then you're lucky because this is straight out of my old school sample pack. My track on Revealed with Skylights and Chris Kiss. I just took the kick straight out of my sample pack. So if you've got this one, you've got gold dust. All I did was boost it in the 100 hertz range and then in the 5k range as well. But yeah, as I said, I do use my samples in all my tracks. That's why I keep them so exclusive for my patrons. Like, they only last a month because I use them a lot, and I don't want people to just copy all my sounds, you know. I want them just to be for my most loyal supporters. Sub bass is, let's see if I can find it. I believe it's this one. It's definitely not this one. I know I have 3 main elements. Here is the sub bass. Now, what I did was I loaded in a kick drum. I think the old school kick, also from that track, I loaded it into nimble kick, which allows me to play it in a different key smoothly and doesn't lose as much of that transient as in if you were in FL Studio and you kind of change the key of it, it would ruin the transient. It would just ruin the sample. So I'm starting to do this a lot more in nimble kick. This just sounds great. The low end on this is really, really good, especially with the kick. Super hard, has everything I need. It's got low end, it's got punchy kick. Now we need to start building on those mid layers. So this is where I brought in this sound. Which is a preset from Vital, which is a free plugin. Really, really love it. Got a lot of processing on this sound though. This is what it sounds like before. So what did I do? I had a filter on. I believe that's just for transitional stuff. Camel Crusher, Isotope Trash, grainy saturation there. EQ, you guys know the score already. Lots and lots of EQs. Then a compressor at the end trying to keep everything tight, and then a sidechain. I've also done a little bit of volume automation as well to get the shape that I want. We'll quickly take a look at the sub kick as well, because a lot of you guys probably want to know about that. This is a sub kick from a sample pack. Never leave it as it is. If you want really heavy festival tracks, you need to be boosting the low end, in my opinion, just to get as much power as possible. As you can see, I've done 1 boost there, 2 boosts there, 3 boosts there, and listen to it without. I've literally got as much low end out of the sound as possible. And that's what you should be doing with sample pack kicks, because sample pack kicks a lot of the time don't have that full power, that the most power you can get out of the sound. So I would always try and just boost the low end, you know, between 40 and 60 hertz, the real sub region. When it starts to distort, then you stop. But like, obviously look how much I boosted and it just didn't distort. So this track sounds crazy on speakers, so it was a good move. We also have this sound, sorry, which I've shaped with a volume shaper as well. So we have our main elements now. See how that sound on the kick drum makes the overall transition of the offbeat bass smoother? It just gels everything together.